So thank you for being with Pratibimb Charitable Trust and watching our episodes titled Face to Face. We have come to the end of season 3 and I hope you have enjoyed watching the various subjects that we dealt with the questions posed by our very eminent anchors. The last episode of season 3 is a medley of some of the salient questions that were posed in the past year. And I hope this will refresh your memory and it will also excite you to revisit all the episodes that were presented to you by Pratibimb.
When we know and we understand that the imperfections make life much more interesting and adventurous. Why are we always just wanting to be perfect?
So perfection is the law of the universe. You striving to be perfect is being in tune with the law of the universe. In spiritual terms, the ultimate perfection is to attain goal of
Moksha.
finding your creator, which as people say moksha or nirvana. Whatever you are doing, you call it imperfection, striving for perfection, you are following a pattern of the universal law which is spiritual. There is nothing that can exist which is not spiritual. मैं ऐसा क्यों हूं is a question you ask. मैं ऐसा ही हूं is the joy in accepting the way I am. That is the beauty in it.
We also have these hymns and bhajans being sung in temples. So can we call this as a form of worship also?
What is worship? Worship is acknowledging the presence of a superior power with the capability of omnipresence, omniscience and omnipotence. Singing and dancing in rhythm which almost approximates the rhythm of the universe. You're acknowledging that yes, I am in tune with you. So these are highly evolved souls who have understood the science of vibration, the science of God, as common man will call it, and therefore you call them God-men, you call them avatars. Where are they? They are not in their human existence, they are in their spiritual, vibratory, universal existence. So yes, it is divine.
So how does the mother's emotional, physical state influence the baby in the womb?
So whenever physical or emotional or intellectual conditions are affecting a human organism, every cell in the human body is getting affected. The baby in the womb of the mother is part of the cellular structure of the mother because the baby is not yet born. Try to create some spiritual atmosphere, religious atmosphere, holy atmosphere, chants, rhythms,
positive affirmations.
Exactly. That is the law of the universe, that you are delivered in a perfect form. The imperfection in a birth is the karma of that soul.
So what do you define as overparenting?
Micromanagement, as some people would like to call it. Every small thing, you want to be sure that the child is doing it the way you think it is right. You are overprotecting your child and making him incapable of facing resistances, oppositions, and also corrections, which is even more dangerous. Interfering in what to study, what not to study, when to study, how much to study, which classes to go, what extracurricular skills to develop, everything is micromanaged by the parent. Where is the scope for the child to evolve and discover his own strengths and weaknesses? And you must remember that understanding life is a science, but practicing life is an art.
In every relationship, should we set boundaries?
So boundaries are natural barriers. Now I'm giving you a stark example of a house where the boundary is visible.
Yeah, that's a geographical
Yeah,
boundary.
it's a physical boundary.
Yeah, it's a physical boundary.
So I know that this is the limit up to which I can go, and beyond this, I'm not allowed.
You're disrespecting.
No, you are only being selfish.
Yeah, correct.
कि
You're-
आपका जो चीज है वो पहला मेरा बोझ उठा के तेरे सर पे डालूं, तेरा सर वो बोझ उठाने का कैपेसिटी में है कि नहीं, आई एम नॉट बॉदर्ड. I unburdened myself. When you change the environment from office to house or from kitchen to living room, dump your problems behind and blend with the environment you are in.
I am an advocate of joint family. But how do I create this balance in my family between the in-laws and the generation next?
You are an advocate of joint family. Did you cultivate your children in the joint family concept? Family is a unit which coexists, where there will be sacrifices, where there will be cooperation, where there will be support. So now there is lack of clarity on how you should behave, how your seniors should behave, and how your juniors should behave. If I, as the grandfather, decide saying that everybody should sit at the table, one fine morning somebody is going to stand up and tell me, "Hey, Budde, chup bait." Ebb and flow are laws of life. You can't have constant bharti or constant OT.
Why are we as a generation so worried?
Your question is, why do we worry? Why do we worry? Because we don't have answers. When you have an answer, there is no worry. I don't discount the younger generation at all. They all want to learn. That's why you see the progress that the world is making. But if there is somebody who comes and says, I will teach you, get lost. Today there is no acceptance and tolerance. Tu nahi to aur sahi. That's the equation. But if you go into the spiritual aspect of love, love is neither an emotion nor an intelligence. Love is a law.
So
Then I'm not respecting myself as an individual, and I'm not respecting another person as an individual, because it is not one aspect of the individual. I want to marry your ear, not your nose, not your lips. Can I say that? No, I cannot say that. Accept that I am different. Another person is different. How do I blend with that difference is the key.
So, how does one nurture healthy relationships?
So that expectation is a fantasy. And many a times we take close relations for granted. कि ये अपना है तो मैं कुछ भी करूंगी, he has to accept or tolerate. If your personalities, intrinsic personalities have not changed, the aura doesn't change.
Does it?
When the vibrations are not the same, and depending on how different the vibrations are, the nature of conflict can be huge. And most of us stumble through life not being conscious of what damage we are doing as we stumble along. You should be healthy in relation with yourself. Automatically, your relations with others will improve.
Some people always react with anger. How do you deal with such people?
When you respond with anger to somebody who is angry with you, both of you are getting disturbed. So more disturbance in his persona and in your persona. Despite trying all options sincerely, with full intent, with full effort, if you still don't get the results, accept. There's no formula to it. Emotions cannot be formulated. Emotions happen. Your behavior can be formulated. Your response to your emotions can be formulated. How do I behave when I'm getting irritated, when I'm getting angry?
मैं मर जाऊंगा लेकिन तुम्हें माफ नहीं करूंगा. So is it really tough to forgive someone?
So forgiveness is a dilemma with many people, and all that we should remember is that the universe never forgives under the law of cause and effect. If the feeling of resentment is there in you, you have not forgiven. Neither have you forgotten. Many a times we very conveniently forget the insults we throw, and we only remember the insults we receive. मैंने confess किया, मैंने गलती की. Now I am ready to do that गलती again, and tomorrow again I will come and confess. So if you have seen your adults forgiving people easily, then the possibility that your nature will cultivate into forgiveness is a natural process.
I have introspected and I have identified that I have got anger issues. So how do I overcome this shortcoming?
पहले तो आप सच्चे हो या ऐसे ही टाइम पास कर रहे हो, वो इम्पोर्टेंट. सो फर्स्ट यू हैव टू बी ट्रू टू योर स्टेटमेंट दैट आई हैव एंगर इश्यूज एंड यू ट्रूली वांट टू गेट rid of anger issues.
I'm true.
These two simple techniques called denials and affirmations. I chant to myself that there is no fear, there is no fear, there is no fear. So what am I doing? I'm denying existence of fear. So most people, when they express that they want to get rid of their negativity, are not true to themselves. Because though the result is desirable, the effort that is required is not commensurate. And people are not willing to put in that effort.
People tell me that I behave impulsively, and then, why does it happen?
Either you are extremely knowledgeable, so you don't have to think, and therefore the reply comes instantly. Or you have cultivated a behavioral pattern which is reactive. So what is an impulse? Impulse is a response. And response is based on understanding. Your understanding may be very sharp because you are highly intelligent, and therefore the response comes promptly. Human beings are given facilities by the universe. Impulse is one such facility. Whether I am using it consciously or I am doing it subconsciously, if it is leading to the good, even if it is done subconsciously, please continue doing it.
This or that, there's conflict continuously at all times in our life. So how do you think this translates into inner conflict?
Common man's language, inner conflict is a conflict between the brain and the heart. Slightly technical language, it's a conflict between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So there is one society influence through your consciousness on your subconscious mind, and there is a universal influence on your consciousness, which is a natural process. What we call as intuition.
Correct.
Intuition comes to you through the universe. Now comes the conflict. And conflict can arise when somebody questions you. The conflict is of ignorance. If that is replaced with knowledge, the conflict automatically dissolves.
In today's scenario, when people experience fear of missing out, on the other hand, does the opposite hold true?
I know you're talking of JOMO, joy of missing out. Again, it's a matter of individual choice. It existed in the past, it is existing today, it will exist in the future. Terminologies may change. I would be more comfortable sitting in my own house watching some favorite TV show, or even just snoring away to glory. If you are not comfortable with they talking about you missing out on something, then you compare whether the joy of missing out is greater or their comments are greater.
So is it so simple to manifest things like this?
So if you want to really manifest, then you need to concentrate on the subject and then ask with full honesty of the heart. Things materialize. When it will materialize is not in your hands, but it will definitely materialize. Manifestation is bringing into reality your thought process. A desire first appears as a thought.
Okay.
First it is a feeling. We have a lot of desires, but they are prioritized, or they have a degree of importance in our life. So whichever is most important, our intensity is high, and whichever is least important, our intensity is low.
Anxiety and panic attacks becoming a pandemic amongst the youth.
Now you have only one processor, and so many files are getting loaded in that one processor. What happens when you load your processor with multiple files? It slows down, which is what is happening with today's generation. Trying to keep a pace but not able to deal with the plethora of inputs. Ultimately, every living soul, whether it's an animal or a human being, is looking for happiness. Your Mahabharata, your Ramayana is about you. It's not outside. The Kurukshetra is inside you. You are battling your own demons. And this battle is upsetting you, making you anxious, and giving you panic attacks.
This urge of comparison is deeply rooted in each one of us.
Everyone wants to be better than the other, and therefore comparison. 0 to 6, the absorbing power of a baby is highest. It's like a dry sponge. If you put dry sponge on water, it will soak up maximum quantity of water. Nobody is judging whether my child has certain skill sets which do not fit in going for an arithmetic class. He has a skill set of Kathakali dance. Usko arithmetic class mein bhej ke kya karoge? Just because your neighbor's son is going there. So you have inculcated this competitiveness which is unhealthy. It's not going to happen that you are going to not only break the person who has formed into a particular caste, you're going to damage him psychologically.
So, what is this desire versus deserve?
Desire can be endless. Desire has no boundaries. Deserving has boundaries. Sometimes you see people who don't work but get everything.
Yes.
There is no randomness in the universe. The universe operates in perfection. If you have planted a mango seed, you will get a mango. You will not get a pineapple. So whatever you want, you decide your action first. Then the reaction will come. Somebody is a representative of the universe. You did good to one individual. It is not necessary that he will do good to you, but somebody else will do good to you.
Any mother must be doing such small things for her child. So, is this sacrifice?
Yes. महान sacrifice नहीं है, लेकिन sacrifice है. So there is something which I derive out of my giving. That is not a sacrifice. When I pinch myself and I give, that is a sacrifice. So regret is a way of glorifying yourself. कि देख क्या बेचारी. And many people do that. They earn sympathy of the society कि बेचारी इतनी qualified है लेकिन घर में खाना पकाती है. It gets registered in the registry of the universe that here is a person who has given something. By the law of cause and effect, you will get a benefit which you will not connect to this act of sacrifice.
Why does this feeling come up of wanting to take revenge?
Good question, good subject, because this seems to be happening quite regularly and increasingly in society today. Revenge is the action that I take based on the feeling I develop that something wrong has been done to me. People are not born revengeful, they are cultivated revengeful. Where does the cultivation start? Sometimes in the childhood itself, inadvertently.
Yeah.
The inadequacy on both counts is on my part.
Correct.
The first count is I was revengeful, and the second count was I was not gracious enough to accept my fault in being revengeful. So I have not only endorsed my revenge, I have justified it to my own mind.
So I would like to know, what is the relation between happiness and desire?
What makes you happy? Anything you are attached to makes you happy. How to fulfill desires and how to settle for unfulfilled desires is an individual's perspective. Some people get frustrated not satisfying desires. We need to teach children balance. And many a times, the ambitions of parents unnecessarily make a child over-ambitious. So your desires are your own, somebody else's desires are his or her own, and both need not match. If they match, balle balle.
Yeah.
If they don't match, again, choice is yours. You want to get frustrated? You choose. You want to accept it? You choose.
How does one strike a balance between professional demands and personal health?
आप तराजू पे खड़े हो, हाँ, तो बैलेंस दोनों तरफ है. Now you want more of this. तो इधर आपका झुक रहा है, तो ये ऊपर जाएगा ही. You're paying the price with your health. by putting in more hours, which you term as slavery. Now you want to be top runner, then you have to be the slave, driven. You're driven and there is a driver. The horse nearest the driver gets the whip. It is your definition, no? So there is a price for growth. Then slavery is the price you're paying for growth. Then don't complain about slavery. You're enjoying the growth.
Jack of all trades, master of none. So what is your perception of it in terms of, say, multitasking?
Jack of all, master of none. You do several things, several different areas. You don't have the time, energy and resources to become skillful in one subject. I'll take you back a couple of generations, maybe 3 generations back. So there were multiple skills even then.
Correct.
But they were not being blown out of proportion. Your mother, your grandmother, the great-grandmother used to also do so many things. And perhaps they were doing many things which you can't do today. The tools of living have changed. Life hasn't changed because the human being basically hasn't changed.
So there's no right or wrong here.
Whatever gives you happiness is right. If that is the rule you follow, you will never go wrong in life. Follow one rule. Do something that makes you happy. Now we are embarking on season 4 and I urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, press the bell icon, share everything with your relatives and friends and help us grow the Pratibimb family in addition to acquiring the knowledge from the new episodes of Face to Face. Cheers.